Hello and welcome to UPressPlay Sports. I am the sports editor for the University Press and moderator for today's podcast, Maddox Greenberg. Alongside me, our editor-at-large, Cameron Priester.
How we doing?
And staff writer, JD Delcastillo.
What's up, guys?
So today, there's a bunch to talk about with the NFL, FAU football, and especially today, Tuesday, the NBA Tipoff. So first, let's go down to the NFL Week 7. What would you guys like to recap from what happened in Week 7?
All right, I'll go first. Biggest takeaway for me this week was 49ers Vikings, 22-17 for the Vikings. Huge upset, currently on a 2-loss streak for the 49ers, and I mean, it's looking bad for your boy Brock Purdy. There was tons of talks about MVP this, MVP that, and he's put up 2 really bad stinkers. I didn't catch the full game, but I mean, super team can only carry you so far. He just hasn't really looked too good. Vikings are looking to bounce back. Biggest takeaway for me is that they were dropping games early. It was a whole lot of talks of, trade Kirk Cousins to the Jets, get rid of JJ, and now it kind of looks like they're trying to fight for a wild card spots. I think the Vikings show a lot of fight, and the 49ers need to bounce back. They need a response. What was your guys' takeaway from that game?
I wouldn't go as far as maybe you saying wild card spot. I think we know who the Vikings are, but I think this game says more about the 49ers and maybe us as fans and media members a little bit overreaction. We heard all the big football talking heads on TV saying this is the most closest thing to a perfect team in the NFL and the closest thing to an unbeatable team in the NFL. Last night you kind of saw what makes them that way, that unbeatable team. The defensive line kind of just disappeared. They didn't have any sacks at all. Kirk Cousins looked comfortable, all night, and then just Brock Purdy, like you said, kind of put up a stinker a little bit for the second week in a row, and they got caught for the second week in a row. So yeah, maybe they're just not as perfect or unbeatable as some people thought, but yeah, I think that game said more about them. Another game I wanted to talk about, Lions-Ravens, MVP Lamar Jackson.
Is that what you're saying? You're saying that Lamar's your MVP pick?
Right now it's long season, but that was a great game they put up. Lions are another one of those teams, they're getting touted as one of the better teams in the league, and to get beat by 32 points, that's really a statement by the Ravens, especially coming off a really, really disappointing loss to Pittsburgh. That was a 100% winnable game that they should have won. So making a statement game like this, in the wake of that, I think says a lot about them. Lamar Jackson, 21 for 27, 357 yards, 3 touchdowns. And if you were watching the game, just a bunch of just masterful plays. Doing whatever we've seen him do before, we've seen him in that MVP form, and how good the Ravens can be. And that was when, you could say he wasn't as good of a passer as he is now. So now that he has taken those steps, Ravens are a dangerous team, and right now they're sitting towards the top of a division that's really tough. So that was my biggest takeaway from the game. What about you, Maddox?
For me, definitely have to be my Patriots defeating the Bills.
Yeah.
29-25. Honestly, I was a lot of Patriots fans where I wanted to see them kind of tank or at least try to get closer to getting Caleb Williams, or at least getting a quarterback. I still feel like they should get a good quarterback. This quarterback class is very good. But that win, Bill Belichick's 300th regular season win, third all time in the NFL, says a lot. They're just shocked, not only me, but also Bills Mafia and everyone in the NFL, because everyone predicted the Bills to win this. Playing on NFL Network, everyone said Bills will win this easily. I think one person predicted it was a crazy score. It was 38-4 or something. I was you're expecting the Patriots to get 2 safeties? Okay. Still don't think this Patriots team, they have a good enough supporting cast with the quarterback, and just the scheme they're running isn't well. Their defense is very good, but pretty banged up, especially the front with Matthew Judon out, and they're very thin at the secondary, including cornerback. So I don't think it's much says anything about the Patriots. And one of those lucky wins you get at home. I think maybe it had a Mike Vrabel effect since he was at the game. Titans head coach who used to play for the Patriots a couple of years back won some rings, so he was there. So I think maybe that magic kind of got into the team. And who knows? Maybe even Vrabel decides to coach the Patriots once Bill Belichick retires. For the next week in the NFL, we're going to be previewing some of the games. What are some games that most intrigue you guys?
Well, before we get into that, I actually did want to comment on that game, because as a Dolphins fan, I've never in my life would I have thought I said this, but I was rooting for the Patriots hard. Screw the Bills, not fans of them. And I think what was so crazy about that game is that we literally saw Mac Jones, who has been the topic of criticism the whole season, outduel Josh Allen. I mean, same amount of touchdowns. Josh Allen threw a pick. Mac Jones had more yards and a better completion percentage. he actually looked really good. And when the Bills responded and it was on the Patriots to score that touchdown, that was a really clean drive by Mac Jones. And when he got into the red zone, I was like, I just kept holding my breath. I was like, man, he's going to throw a pick, or, you know, they're going to have to settle for a field goal and do an onside kick or something. And then he threw that dime to Mike Gesicki, Dolphins legend. And the Bills need to figure it out, man, because they could honestly be 3-4 right now. That Giants game would have went differently with that last play. And you don't want to throw the F word around, the fraud word, early into the NFL season. But, I mean, everybody was just kind of expecting them to walk into winning the AFC East. And now it's kind of looking like it's the Dolphins' division to win.
And what was actually most intriguing about that game, the Pats and Bills, and I actually read this today from Sports SB Nation's Pat's Pulpit, the blog for the Patriots, and they were saying how this game was basically the rookies' game. The rookie punter had a great game, Bryce Behringer. Rookie kicker, Shad Ryland, I believe his name is. He had a great job, went well on kicking field goals, extra points. And then wide receiver Demario Douglas, who's on special teams, also as a receiver, had a lot of big plays as a receiver and did well. So the rookie class definitely has done a tremendous job, which does kind of prove that, does at least say that Bill Belichick is a strategic draft guy, especially before we head to week 8, especially.
We got to give Mac Jones his credit, too. I know, he catches a lot of flack, from me included, but, 25 for 30, 272, doesn't throw 2 touchdowns, doesn't throw any interceptions. That's a really clean game against a Buffalo defense that's not a bad defense by any stretch of the imagination. So got to give him his credit too. As football fans like to dunk on him when he does stink more often than not.
And definitely with how strategic Bill Belichick has been with coaching, with the Aaron Rodgers sack that got him out 75 seconds into the season opener, the offensive line who blocked and allowed him to get sacked and get injured, he was a rookie offensive lineman that the Patriots, I believe, moved up to get the Bills out of the way so the Steelers could get that pick. And the Steelers got that draft guy, so the Jets settled for another player, and that player ended up costing Jets. As of right now, they're kind of hopes of Aaron Rodgers leading them to the promised land. But now on to a week 8. What games are guys having your eyes set on? This is a game I'm definitely going to watch when Sunday, Thursday, or Monday happens.
I'm glad you said Thursday, because I was I hope we're not just looking forward to Sunday. Thursday is a big, big game for the Bills, because if they drop that one
to Baker Mayfield,
nonetheless, right? It's in Buffalo. It's in Buffalo, so it should be an easy win. I mean, Thursday night games have a history of being really boring and bad, so that could very easily just be a very boring game. Bills feel let me rephrase, they don't feel like they need to respond. They need to respond, dropping a very winnable game. No offense, Maddox, to a very bad Patriots team, but I think the Buccaneers also feel like they need to win this one too. I mean, they got off to a hot start, 2-0, and they've kind of dropped a few games since, and they lost an easy one this past Sunday to the Falcons at home. So I mean, if they want hopes of trying to win that division, I mean, you got to beat the tough opponents on your schedule. And I like to think that when it's a short week, it's anyone's game. You know how they say any given Sunday? I really think it's any given Thursday, because that short week really shows what teams are made of. Since it's prime time, everyone's going to be watching. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. I hope it's an entertaining game. Yeah, as a Dolphins fans, I'm rooting for the Bucs.
Yeah, looking at the slate next week, it's not a whole lot of great games. So I'm going to be a homer a little bit and say I'm looking to the Sunday night game between Bears-Chargers. I know what you're thinking, who wants to watch a backup quarterback, but Tyson Bagent, QB2 for the Bears who played Sunday, looked capable, and it's been a while since the quarterback has looked capable in Chicago. So if he goes over to Los Angeles on Sunday night with the entire nation watching and wins again with what I'm assuming is going to be a much more complicated game plan than what he was assigned with against the Raiders, a lot of running the ball. So if he wins and looks good, all hell will break loose with the conversations about, okay, well, what do you do with Justin Fields? Who starts now? I'm more interested in seeing kind of what happens after this game, because if, say, Tyson Bagent goes out there and puts up a stinker, Bears lose by 32 like they usually do on Sunday Night Football, maybe not. But if he looks great and the Bears, come away with a win and they're 3-5 all of a sudden in a very not good division, conversations have to be had. Very interested in seeing how that goes.
Yeah, I will say, like, I mean, it's pretty boring to just pick the primetime games, but I mean, that's why they're primetime. They're pretty good. I want to ask you guys a couple questions because I like the narratives that you bring up with that Bears-Chargers game, right? How do you even say his name? Tyson
Bagent. Secret Agent Bagent.
Secret. All right, the fans have a nickname, Secret Agent Bagent. If Secret Agent Bagent goes out there and wins the game in LA, I mean, I feel like there's so many different conversations, and I mean, Monday ESPN is gonna light
over it.
All over. Fields be there anymore?
I'm not even.
I'm a quarterback. Like
I'm not even thinking.
The trade stuff has already started. Like you've already seen like the Falcons trade for Justin Fields. If he goes out there and wins,
what will make it very interesting thing is how right now the Panthers, who traded with the Bears, traded a pick for last season. For the number 1 overall pick.
They still have the number 1 pick. They still have the number 1 pick.
Young Panthers are the worst team right now, so the Bears still have the number 1 pick. So if the Panthers still stink this entire season,
they will.
Do you think that if Tyson Bagent,
they're still going?
The Bears are going to get Caleb Williams.
They're going Caleb Williams.
I'm saying maybe not even Caleb Williams.
Whoa!
It very well could be Drake May. That's a whole different conversation. But I'm saying, does this game affect what they do at the trade deadline? Do they move on from Justin Fields already if they're like, we already know we're gonna get the number 1 pick? My theory is that Tyson Bagent could go out there and do whatever. He could throw for as many yards, as many touchdowns, and win by as many points as he wants. As soon as Justin Fields is healthy, he's back in there because they have till the end of the season to, make their final evaluation. Because this year they have to either go Justin Fields, that's your franchise quarterback, or completely move on. So you have only this season to evaluate him. I don't think they're going to waste that by playing a quarterback too, no matter how great he looks.
I think Justin Fields is gone. I think he's done. And the interesting part is that the trade deadline's Tuesday, right? So let's say that Secret Agent Bagent goes out there. I'm loving that nickname. That's hilarious. Bagent goes out there and wins that game, right? Which I also want to mention, if the Bears win that game, that's probably because Herbert put up a stinker. And that's one thing that I think we were just ignoring right now. We're all thinking about the Bears right now because that's like the hot topic with them having the number 1 pick and all the drama with Fields. But Herbert, there's going to be a lot of conversations about Herbert and Brandon Staley if they drop this game. It's very unlikely. I think the Chargers should take care of business. But I mean, hey man, any given Sunday, the Bears are going to go with Caleb Williams. We could have that conversation about Drake May. I'm not too familiar with his. I'm not too familiar with his game. That's one to look forward to for sure.
So for my week game, to look at, the one you guys have not mentioned as not a primetime game, but I believe it's either a 1 o'clock or a 4 o'clock game. Jaguars at the Steelers. Now
that's about to be a 3-6 game, literally.
Because that game, the Jags have the best record that they had in years, 5-2. Steelers also coming off of a bye week and a big win against Rams, that was okay. I mean, have kind of a good offense with Puka and Nacua and some good defense, but Steelers were able to win. Both teams are well above 500. Steelers really hard to win in that stadium. Was
45 degrees?
Yeah.
No, that's gonna be interesting because everybody kind of, not everybody, but the Steelers kind of got wrote off a little bit towards the beginning of the season, and Kenny Pickett hasn't looked terrible, and they're sitting at 4-2.
I wanted to bring that. How are they 4-2 right now? That is
stealing that win against the Ravens. The Ravens should be 6-1.
I need to look at their schedule because there's 4-2 just doesn't even sound like it makes sense.
I think stealing the win from the Ravens might not be the right vocabulary.
Pun
intended. The Ravens handed that game to him. I remember there was something like 8 or 9 drops. One I vividly remember was Rashad Bateman slant right in the end zone, hit him directly in the hands, and he dropped it. Handed them the game.
They could really be 5-1 right now because they absolutely blew that game against the Texans. They've beat some really tough teams. They beat the Ravens. They beat the Browns. They're 2-0 in the division right now.
I think a lot of the bad, not a lot, some of the bad vibes around the team comes from within because the whole storyline around the
Matt Canada
is fire Matt Canada. A lot of that bad vibes comes from that. But 4-2 in that division is not a horrible place to be at this point in the season. So
it's kind of a must-win for both teams. Not must-win. It's early, and they both have good records. But I mean, they would definitely like to come away with a win in that game. So that's a good one.
And actually, wasn't what you said, Cameron, about the game between the Ravens and Steelers a couple of weeks ago and how the refs handed that to them?
Not refs, the Ravens handed that game to the Steelers. Had nothing to do with the refs.
I thought you said the refs because I just went back to thinking about something like football in that game. That was just
the Ravens handed them that game. They were up 10-0 at one point, and it should have been more if Rashad Bateman didn't drop that touchdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was a game they just handed to them. And you know, the Steelers are like in a much different point right now because of that game. If they lose that, you know, in the fashion that they were kind of playing in the first half, like I said, like the vibes around them, I think right now are a lot different. So.
Now, for tonight, as of Tuesday, October 24th, the NBA kicks off with a great doubleheader, both on TNT. The Lakers face the defending champion, the Nuggets. And then at 10 p.m., the Suns go to San Francisco and face the Warriors. What are you guys winners of those two matchups, and what are some hot takes you guys have before the season kicks off at 7:30 p.m.?
So for the Lakers-Nuggets games, I'm probably going to go Nuggets. I always notice with the Lakers, I don't know the numbers, but at least just off the top of my head, they don't really do good in their season openers. Like, I remember when LeBron first went to LA, and it was the Battle of LA with the Clippers. They're not a team that really comes off to a hot start. That would be a big win for them, especially with all the narrative surrounding those two teams and the rivalry between them. So I'm going to go Nuggets, though. I mean, retaining the same core, they should be the number one seed as long as everyone stays healthy. They're the team to beat. And then for Suns Warriors, that's kind of a toss-up. No Draymond Green for opening night, which I think hurts them a lot defensively, especially with, you know, that trio of Books, Beal, and Durant. So I'll probably go Suns there. But for my hot take, I don't have this a hot take. Usually when you say that you have a hot take, it's probably not that hot, but I don't see the Suns making it past the second round. I don't have a lot of faith in this Suns team, and it's a really, really tough Western Conference. There was somebody in the national media, I believe it was Unsportsmanlike, the 6 to 10 a.m. radio show on ESPN, and they were kind of talking about like continuity and, you know, maintaining your core. The Lakers have that with LeBron and AD. Nuggets have that with their whole starting five. Warriors have that with their trio. You know, it's going to take a while for these guys to mesh, and I just overall don't have faith in a team with no real point guard. You know, there's only one ball. You know, if there was 3 balls that they could all shoot at once, that'd be great, but I don't see them making much noise in the playoffs.
Well, looking at the 2 games tonight, I agree with JD. I think I got the Nuggets tonight, but I'm more interested to see, you know, it is one game, but...
Very long season, so, you know, we're going to overreact.
Right, exactly. But I think, you know, the Nuggets, they retain mostly their same team. I think, you know...
Bruce Brown is going to hurt, losing Bruce Brown,
right. But, you know, I think you have a better idea of who the Nuggets are be. I'm interested more to see, like, you know, how do the Lakers... off-season changes, how does that stack up to like how they looked against the Nuggets getting swept last season? Like what it's like I said, it's one game. You can't, you know, especially a season opener, you can't, you know, get a full scope of like changes on a team in one game. But yeah, I'm just interested to see how they stack up now. But I'm definitely gonna go Nuggets. I agree on the same that kind of a toss-up in the Suns Warriors.
Curry could go off.
Right. I'm interested to see what that, you know, chemistry is like. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. You know, 3 kind of really high volume players. Like you said, there's only one ball, and how losing some of that even less depth than they had last year to acquire Bradley Beal, how that looks. Because, you know, on paper it's looking like they could be a team that gives up, you know, 110, 105 points a game.
But then they could answer right back with scoring 125. So
right.
NBA is so weird, man, because like nobody cares about defense anymore. If you're cold, if 2 of those 3 guys are cold, it's gonna rely on one of them to go off, and I just don't see that as a recipe for success, especially over an 82 game season and a whole postseason. I don't got faith, man.
And I wonder how, like, looking back at the Harden, Irving, Durant experiment in Brooklyn, how often are these guys like playing together?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not gonna, you know, like speculate or anything. I'm not in the locker room or anything, but I just wonder how often they are gonna play together, and how if something, whether or not affects the chemistry, because it's gonna be hard, I think, you know, to with the speed of an actual speed of an NBA game, you know, figuring out that chemistry of 3 really high volume scorers all trying to, you know, mesh their game together. It's not going to be an easy thing. So yeah, like seeing how that looks already and how it's going to develop, that's going to be interesting to see, I think.
You got a hot take?
Hot take? I think this might not be a hot take, but I really think the Heat aren't going to be great this year. Might get bounced
Don't say that.
Bounce first round.
Don't say that.
I look at all their competitors in the East, their two biggest competitors in the East, Boston, Milwaukee. Both of them got
Maddox over here flexing, bro. Come on. Celtics, you guys have the best starting lineup, and guess what? Heat in 6.
That's my fault.
You just opened a can of worms right now.
I shouldn't have mentioned Boston. But, looking at the Heat's two biggest competitors in the East, Boston and Milwaukee, they both got visibly better. Boston brought aboard Porzingis.
I agree.
Milwaukee brought aboard Dame. To my eyes, the Heat got visibly worse. They relied heavily in their playoff run on role player guys, 2 of which they lost. They lost Caleb Martin. They lost Max Strus.
No, we still have Caleb.
Not Caleb Martin. Gabe Vincent. Excuse me.
And they rely a lot on Jimmy Butler, who I respect his game playing in the playoffs. That guy plays every single minute, puts up almost.
That brings me to my next point. You know who Jimmy Butler is going to be. You know who what Eric Spoelstra is. But I just think their two biggest competitors in the East got visibly better. They got visibly worse, and I just wonder how that affects them moving forward in the East.
As a Heat fan, I have to rebuttal, and here's my rebuttal: the power of friendship.
Okay,
that's what we got. We got that Heat culture, bro. And I don't like this whole narrative that the Heat got worse because my whole thing is
stagnant. They kept their roster, not many big changes. Other
missing out
big changes.
Missing out on Lillard really hurts, and it even hurts even more that he goes to Milwaukee. But people are acting like Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, 2 guys who nobody drafted, that the Heat got off of their couch. People are acting like they're irreplaceable. We got because I'm the 16th man on the bench.
Right.
The Heat, they got Josh Richardson, they got Thomas Bryant, which was much needed, a backup center for Bam. Your hot take was that they're not making it out the first round, which I respect it. I respect you as a colleague and a friend, but
gotcha.
I just think that they don't care about seeding. We just saw them make the finals as a play-in team. Second round exit, I could see it. I could see it for sure, but I think seeding's going to be really huge. They're definitely going to have to get lucky and do it how they did it 2 years ago, where Boston and Milwaukee saw each other in the second round, and the Heat just ended up getting the scraps. But yeah, if they're low seeded and they end up having to face one of Milwaukee or the Celtics in the playoffs, I would have to agree. It's not looking good for them.
So for my winners, also the Denver Nuggets. Game 1, day 1 of the league. 82 games. There's 100 days in the regular season, so anything can change. And it's also very easy to win, I believe, in basketball, and I think also for baseball, but also for basketball, because if you don't win one day, you can win another day, and it's fine. I feel like the Nuggets definitely could take out the Lakers at home, and definitely with that connection of the Nuggets sweeping the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals to reach the NBA Finals. So the Lakers have a little bit of an edge on that. And I do think Warriors also would defeat the Suns. I do see the Suns actually could be a Finals candidate as long as all the 3 guys stay healthy and all of them have a good connection. That was a big problem. Not with the Thunder when Durant was on there, because they had good connection. They just couldn't reach the finals championship. They made it to the finals, but couldn't get the trophy. But with the other previous experiments, the Golden State, which was a success, but with Brooklyn, it wasn't great.
Yeah, that was a success because of Curry.
So I do think Denver, Golden State will win. My hot take, I have 2. One's not really a hot take, I don't think. The other one is definitely a hot take. So my first one is Victor Wembanyama won't be the prodigy everyone expects him to be.
What's the reason? Yeah, bro, he hasn't even played a regular season game yet, bro. I need to hear this reasoning.
So we haven't seen him that much, as in we just seen him in the preseason and a little bit in the summer league. However, what all the hype they gave him, I thought it was going to go too much to his head, too much to the Spurs, and also his physique is not a great physique for someone to be 7'4", skinny. And we saw the same thing with Kevin Durant. We saw the same thing with Chet Holmgren, or I forgot how to pronounce his name. Chet, who played for the Thunder, was going to be a great player, and then got injured in an exhibition game because of how thin he was. So
I'll agree with you on the sentiment that the hype kind of around him is more of a disservice than anything. I mean, it's preseason. He has absolutely looked the part.
We've seen him against starting lineups in preseason. Absolutely. Was it that Warriors game? Cooking, step back, one-legged. He's too talented. He's too talented.
It's actually it's preseason. We're overreacting.
Dude.
But both ends of the floor, he can score. Him on defense, watching dudes try to get jump shots over him over these arms that look like something out of a movie or something . it's crazy to watch. It's weird because it's like someone that large shouldn't move like that.
Absolutely.
And shouldn't be like that fluid and have like a handle like that. So I was glad you brought that up because I'm so excited to watch that Mavericks game. It's so late in the day. I hate 9:30 tip-off, but I'm so excited to watch that game, actually.
My hot take in response to your hot take is that Wembanyama is going to win Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie.
That's correct.
I'm calling it. I'm calling it. If he can stay healthy, play like 60 games, and he's putting up those blocks, and he looks... I think the key is that if he can look good on the perimeter. I don't know if there was this one highlight where he was at the top of the key, and the guy was driving to the elbow, and he stripped him. Like, this kid is insane. I agree with both of you about the hype, but I mean, he's not like an American. That's another thing too. Him being from France and playing professional basketball, like
that definitely plays into it.
Cause they compared him with LeBron, but with LeBron, he was in high school. Everyone can see him because he was domestic, so everyone can see how he played. Right. We want to see Wembanyama stuff. Have a paid ticket, go to Paris, spend money to be in Paris for a couple of days, pay money to get a ticket, or you can just go watch it on YouTube. And YouTube, you can edit it, you can do so many different things with it. So that's kind of made like kind of tricky.
It's a lot different than like the hype around him. Like it's not doing him any favors, but it's different because coming like overseas, like their development coming up in the league is a lot different. They're playing
the culture is just different. Like I don't think he really cares about what people are saying about him.
And
like
this isn't new. It wasn't just like Wembanyama like popped on a couple months before the draft.
We've been hearing about this kid since he was 15, and he was cooking Gobert on the France national team.
The real like NBA draft sickos out there known about this guy since he was probably like 14, 13, maybe even younger. It's not helping him at all, but he looks the part already. Like you said about the games, I'm interested to see like over an 82 game season. Is that what it looks like?
Mm-hmm. And Boston.
That wasn't even the hottest one. Now that I think about it,
this one is going to be also hot.
There's another hot take.
There's another one.
This one.
So it's more a little bit of a vague one, but goes into what Cameron said. So the Heat won't make it to the finals, but Jimmy Butler requests a trade.
Oh my.
When the Heat were here, I was thinking...
He's a Heatle for life. He's like...
When the Miami Heat were here practicing at FAU, I was thinking in my head, because I couldn't get a chance to speak to Jimmy Butler.
My man's pulling the sources, bro.
I was thinking
way.
In my head to Jimmy Butler. It was like, one of my questions I was kind of asking Jimmy was...
Man, I'm
do
glad
you think... Do you think...
Are you happy in Miami?
Yes, like, do you think... Because he came so close, did so much in that bubble, in the NBA bubble, he like fought through the entire thing, he looked like he was almost going to pass out multiple games. He definitely has a heart for Heat culture. He hasn't like gotten a championship. So is he so willing to stay Miami, stay in the place, the same thing, stay stagnant, and still not get a championship?
I'll play devil's advocate here because I actually when Damian Lillard, when the news broke that he got traded to the Bucks, I was in the bathroom and I wanted to fall to my knees and start crying, right? But I was like, that's gross because it's the bathroom floor. I'm not going to do that. But my second thought after I composed myself was Jimmy should leave. And I genuinely had those feelings that Jimmy should leave the Heat because what has the front office done to help him? Their best signing in his whole tenure with the Miami Heat was PJ Tucker. Like, so, I mean, to say that he's going to request a trade, I don't think he's built like that.
Right.
But I did...
In multiple years hasn't gotten a championship. They like kind of like have the same ish teams. Like, how long does it take for you to be like?
I would be so surprised. I would be so surprised.
He goes to Milwaukee.
No, bro. He would go. But right. Okay. So then, if you say he's gonna get traded, where's he going?
That's why. That's like I can.
He would need a good trade to get.
I would have to.
He needs a good trade. He needs like a star player.
Oh, send him to Oklahoma.
Man.
Yeah. Get all those picks. Send Shea. There you go. Hey,
I was gonna send Giannis over to Miami and get Jimmy and.
I mean, I can't imagine that Jimmy Butler wasn't like the least bit upset that a superstar chose Miami. He went on out there and said, "I want to play in Miami."
Put on Instagram, like
did you see that video on the Instagram?
I didn't play Miami songs in the background.
He was dead set on Miami. It wasn't a secret. It wasn't like phone calls and
But like Portland front office didn't want that.
He said he wanted to go, and Pat Riley could not get it done.
But it's just such a messy thing with...
it's messy, yeah.
Joe Cronin.
Cronin was messy. He didn't go about it the right way, but at the end of the day,
It falls on Pat, man.
Damian Lillard's not a member of the Miami Heat. Pat, he missed. He whiffed. Jimmy Butler can't be mad, or can't be happy about that, but...
He literally... I don't know if you guys saw the video on Instagram. He literally claimed that the Bucks were tampering. That's how pissed he was.
I think that part of it's just Jimmy Butler being, funny, but like he said, where he can't be happy that Pat sat on his hands, but, go where?
Yeah,
go
bro.
Where?
Anyone will want him.
Anybody will want him.
Anybody will want him. I'm sure, every team could use a Jimmy Butler, on their team, but, where does he go? What?
That contract is really bad.
He's came out, he spoke so much about how much he likes being in Miami, that story about how, Dwayne Wade told him, you belong on the Heat, and, he likes being in Miami. I'm sure, he's not happy, like you said, but...
I'm laughing. Go ahead.
It does remind me, though, and this is a huge jump, it does remind me a lot of the recent stuff with Aaron Rodgers, him before he left Green Bay.
No
He just
way.
all around, but he was still I'm here, I want to stay here.
Aaron Rodgers, no, because Aaron Rodgers was he was dog whistling that he hated Green Bay. It's completely different.
I think he it's corny saying it because I'm not a Heat fan, but they say Heat lifers. Jimmy Butler, I think, is
he's got it written on his chest.
He's one of those guys. I think he has played a part, in the years he's been there and keeping that, Heat culture, whatever you want to call it. I don't think he's going anywhere, but I'm with you. I don't see.
I mean, if the Heat are not even playing worthy this season, which is a jump, but I mean, NBA is weird, man. So
depending on how long the season is, how much time consuming, how much physical the sport is, how much it drains your body, it does make you think
he's gonna play 40 games
super
this season.
Competitive, so he's I want us to get a championship. So you can be loyal, but again, when does loyalty get set aside for your own personal stuff? When you're gonna be hey, I really want to get a championship, I'm going to be loyal with you guys, but I also really want a championship. In the past several years, that we haven't gotten to it. We haven't gotten the champion.
It had to get really bad, really fast.
And the league jumps all around a lot, so anything can jump around at any time.
I think
in a very bad game, and he's I'm gonna have regrets. But the other day, oh, I'm fine.
If Pat Riley were to miss on Damian Lillard and then trade Jimmy Butler in the same season, the whole city of Miami would go to Pat Riley's office and impeach him. He would be done. And man, you got me nervous laughing.
I really cool this down a little bit. We're going to talk really quickly about both FAU's football matchups. First, their shocking loss.
Shocking.
Not really shocked. Well, at least how big the deficit was. 36-10.
Yeah, this
loss.
man Cameron's hilarious.
So, what was your guys' takes on that game? What were your guys' takeaways from that game?
I'll go first because I don't have too much to say besides, they just got beat. You're not going to score or not going to win a lot of football games when your offense doesn't score a touchdown, and that's what happened Saturday. I think we brought it up in the last podcast. I definitely brought it up in one of my predictions. You can't count on your defense to only give up, 10, 20 points a game. Eventually they're going to get caught, and your offense has to be able to keep up. It's exactly what happened. Defense, they were looking great. I don't know what the exact average they were holding teams to, but it was low. It was low coming into last Saturday, and that Saturday just wasn't a continuation of the streak. 36 points compared to FAU's offense 3. Not a recipe for success. Just didn't look great, and which is tough. Coming off that USF game, vibes were high. That was a conference win. I think a win that meant a lot to a bunch of people in the program because FAU was kind of running the score up. Tom Herman was kind of running the score up. That was a win that I think that meant a lot to a lot of people around the program. And winning like that, you would assume that it's kind of rolls over to next week, but it didn't. They got beat in all facets of the game. It wasn't fun to watch.
I'll have even less to say. Bad. Yep. Just bad. It's just I think. FAU, I've said this in my predictions before that we write for the University Press. You just don't know what FAU football team you're going to get when they play. Last week it was, 52, 56?
56.
56 points, and this week it's 10. No offensive touchdowns. We got, our only touchdown was a fluky interception on defense.
Which is a great play.
Great play, but...
for Latrell Jean, though. But that was in the first quarter. After that, slowed down.
Big man touchdowns are always fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you start into the fourth quarter up 3, and then you get absolutely skunked the rest of the game. And at home, that's our homecoming at that. Just not a good showing. And I mean, if FAU can't be UTSA, I mean, what else is there to look forward to?
Let's not discredit UTSA. They're good. They're
yeah, but what else is there to look forward to is my point.
You're right.
2-game road streak. Actually, no, upcoming 3 games. No, Charlotte FAU's playing next. Doesn't have a good record. Eastern Carolina that lost to Charlotte also doesn't really have a good record. Versus UAB, which is the second game on the road, and that team also played against tough opponents, including against being very close to Tulane in the first half.
That's fair.
Also, still not really a good record. So I think the next couple of games could be potentially winnable in favor of FAU, depending on who you're going to see that Sunday.
Yeah, that's fair. They're no way dead in the water, but it's
this team can still make the bowl, but it's going to be not as what
you're definitely right. 6 wins is not
But where are those 3 other wins coming from? Charlotte, okay. UAB, sure. East Carolina, drop it.
Those are all winnable games.
Those are 6 wins right there. Tulane's gonna be tough on the final game against Rice. I mean,
I hate to hang on a fence because I can see where both of you are coming from. I agree with you, Maddox, that by no means they're dead in the water. They have a bunch of winnable games coming up, but I also see where JD's coming from.
We've lost winnable games though.
Ohio, that game was winnable. Went 2-0, and then got tough 2-game streak against 2-game road thing with Clemson and Illinois. Projection was 2-2 after that, and going to conference play at even 500, but he was below 500.
Right.
And that
but I see where JD's coming from. After a performance where you didn't look good on offense, you didn't look good on defense. Where do you go from here?
When's basketball season starting? That's my whole thought.
2 weeks.
I think it starts on the 11th or November, and 14th is a home game. So
November.
Yeah, 8th. I'll be covering that game.
I'll also be broadcasting that game. So it's gonna be a fun day.
I think that's where the show's at right now. Yeah. When is basketball season starting? No discredit to the football team. I know all those guys work so hard, and they do try their best. But I just think from a fan perspective, it's
looking ahead. It's
bleak.
At Charlotte, that's a winnable game. UAB, that's a winnable game.
But those are both away? Those are both away?
They're both away. And
then home against Eastern Carolina, which is on November 11th.
Hosting Tulane, and then traveling to Rice to end the season.
All I know 7-5 right there.
It's just you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's fair. But here's my thing: the whole offseason talk when they fired Willie Taggart and they brought in Tom Herman, we got Casey Thompson to transfer. The whole talk around the school was that we just want a bowl game. That was the whole talk. There's no conference championship talk. It's just, can we get a bowl game? Just some taste, low bar, a little taste of the postseason. And I mean, you're dropping games that you can win. And the schedule, I won't say it's against you, but it's definitely not in your favor either.
AAC had, I saw on Twitter recently, it was one of the toughest schedules of all conferences.
Not a bad conference by any means, but JD's right. The bar was low. I think we all kind of knew there was going to
6 wins, dude.
There was going to be growing pains. You're getting a brand new quarterback who didn't have an entire off season. That went how it went. But yeah, it was a low bar. No one was expecting him to, by any means, win the conference. No one was expecting him to go win the national championship. But you're expecting a change of vibes. If Willie Taggart, is like JD's saying, it was now you never knew what team you were gonna get. I'm not gonna pull up the article right in front of me right now, but I wrote somewhere that consistency is the best thing for them right now. And
they lack it.
I say it's not it going, 56-14 win and then a 36 on the road and then a 36-10 loss at home. No means dead in the water. It
just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But didn't look great on either side of the ball last Saturday, so I'm not sure where you go from here.
Yeah, to me again, I just think wasn't good. I did have, because I was broadcasting that game for radio, and I had to give credit. I did mention I gave credit to UTSA's secondary, taking out LeJontay Wester, isolating him to career right now season worst. 4 receptions for 14 yards. They did a good job isolating him, isolating the run game. They did a good job on that part. And even Tom Herman said in a Zoom meeting on Monday, he said UTSA had the same system they had with their head coach and quarterback back in 2020. Frank Harris, the quarterback for UTSA, is in the sixth or seventh year. Their head coach has been with them since 2020, the last game FAU won. So they've been there in that same system. FAU's a new system, new culture, so trying to figure everything out.
Right.
So the next game, this Friday, FAU at Charlotte at, I believe, it's 7:30 p.m. on ESPN2. Let's preview this game. So, what are you guys expecting?
Well, it's an away game on a short week, which, I mean, the FAU hasn't had to deal with yet, so that'll be interesting to see what goes on there. I just... Like I've said before, you don't know what team you're going to get. I think it's 50-50. 49ers, Charlotte 49ers are coming off of a win against East Carolina, which...
A rare bright spot this season. They haven't looked...
This is a good win. I saw the thing, I was like,
this whole conference just doesn't make... Besides, is Tulane, like this...
And SMU, those are the two... SMU destroyed Temple 55-0.
This whole conference doesn't make any sense, so...
Yeah, no, Charlotte's they're sort of in like a little bit of a similar situation as FAU. They got a new coach, first year, new conference, a little bit of foreign ground. But it's a winnable game for FAU, but you don't know what team you're gonna get. You know who your team is. Larry McCammon was kind of held in check a little bit compared to his regular numbers. And LeJontay Wester, like Maddox just brought up, was held in check compared to what he usually puts up. So you got to think they should get back in check. And just Charlotte hasn't looked great. 2-5 in the conference is not a great place to be at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, FAU should come out with the win. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll have our predictions a little more in depth.
Those will be on Thursday.
On Thursday, so you guys can check that out, read those. We'll have a little more analysis on that. But yeah, I mean, I'll just say no, FAU should come out with a win. And if they don't, then, I mean, if you guys think I was overreacting now, and if FAU drops this game to Charlotte, I'm going to have no good things to say.
I'm looking at the line right now, and it's FAU's favored 4.5. Over-under's 41, so we're in for...
You need to score a touchdown for that.
They were 5.5 like a couple of days prior, so it's dropped a little bit. To me...
41 over-under does not sound like a very interesting game.
Yeah. To me, I still think same thing. I do expect to win. However, it being such a devastating loss, trying to motivate the team again on a 2-game road series, but also it being such a short week. I think they started training on Monday for offense and Tuesday for defense, but they usually do Tuesday for offense and Wednesday for defense. So shortening up after game, going back to practice so quickly, then going and traveling. I feel like it might be a little bit of a slow game, probably low scoring, but FAU definitely could win that game. Charlotte come off a 5-game losing streak, so they have a little bit of momentum in this. And even Herman, he said that the team for FAU, they need to be more physical and overcome adversity, which reminded me a lot of Willie Taggart. He kept always saying overcome adversity, and then saw the same results. So hopefully that'll change for the better. And also for Charlotte, they're the AAC worst in points per game with 14.6. And
it's brutal.
And they're I believe it's either their linebacker or defensive end, Iabi Oki-Anoma, 4th in the AAC in tackles for loss and 3rd in sacks. So the offensive line, Richardson got sacked 5 times, and the game prior allowed no sacks against a really good USF second defensive line. FAU offensive line definitely has to improve on that to protect Daniel Richardson, enough time in the pocket to get Richardson to get Wester and a supporting cast. But I don't think the Charlotte defense, including the secondary, will be too much of a challenge for Wester and the supporting cast. However, what is important to note is if Wester ever has a slip up again, or with a secondary does a good job isolating him and keeping Wester under 20 yards, you gotta really trust and really put your faith in the supporting cast of receivers. Because there's some good receivers in the supporting cast, but you gotta trust them if another slip up happens where your star receiver doesn't have a good game. Alright, thank you so much for listening to UPressPlay Sports. I am Maddox Greenberg. He is Cameron Priester, and he is JD Delcastillo. Thanks so much for listening, and signing off.